Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, from whichever place in the world you're watching my presentation. Welcome. And well, welcome to Collaboration 365 or Collab 365 GlobalCon third conference. I hope you do enjoy what you've seen so far, all those sessions from the awesome speakers that had their presentations before me. Now, I'm going to show you a presentation about the Power Virtual Agents, but well, about building the no-code bots, conversational bots for Microsoft Teams. Well, you know that Microsoft Teams, for most of the companies, is like a epicenter of the whole collaboration, of the whole communication, of everything that actually employees are doing, are working on, so they can focus in a single place without this need to navigate away, because they have files there, they have their communication, they have their conversation, they have their events and the space to make those online events, video conference calls. They also have their tasks, notes, every single tool that they actually need to effectively collaborate within their workspace with their teams, with their colleagues, with their customers is in Microsoft Teams. And therefore, it is also very important to give them new tools to enrich their collaboration, to enrich their effectiveness without this request, without the needs for them to actually navigate away from that workspace. And so I want to show you how you can actually build a chatbot without actually coding it, and most importantly, how you can embed it in Microsoft Teams so that your employees can actually use it to make their work even more effective. Okay, so let's start this and let's roll. My name is Tomasz Poszetek. I'm coming from Warsaw in Poland. I'm Microsoft Business Applications MVP. I'm working with this technology. I mean, not that particular technology, because Power Virtual Agents is quite new. However, I'm working with Microsoft technologies for over 10 years, and with online, with Office 365, with Power Apps, with Flow, nearly since the beginning. So for nearly over 3 years right now. I'm calling myself a specialist and expert in enabling organizations to work more effectively by simply optimizing their existing processes, by optimizing their solutions to make their work simply more effective. And well, I'm just a very active community member, and a collaborator as well. So if you're interested in what I'm writing about, in what I'm working on, you can follow me on my Twitter, you can follow me on my blog, you can as well follow me on my YouTube. So at the end of the presentation, I will also share some more links to my social media channels. Ready? Let's roll. The first question that I would like to pose is that over the years, us as decision makers, as business users, we somehow rise in ourselves this opinion that the bot is something very expensive. The bot is something that we actually can't create like this, that we need to hire a team of developers to create this whole communication layer, to hire some AI specialists so that the bot can be enhanced with this language understanding capabilities, that we need to hire experts from the communication in general, so that this flow of conversation is programmed the way that our users are not frustrated or do not feel that this is really a bot. And of course, there are still some sophisticated areas, some very, very precise or unique requirements that we just need to code this bot, that the solution that I'm showing that is just right out of the box is not enough. But for most of the cases where we just need to create this conversational bot, we can actually try to use, the Power Virtual Agents. So the tool that is coming from Microsoft Stack. And so this vision of Power Virtual Agents that Microsoft is building around the tool is to let us create a solution, so let us create a service that helps our users to engage naturally. So the way that they want, whether it's via the Microsoft Teams or maybe via WhatsApp or maybe Messenger in Facebook. Whichever tool we choose, we can simply attach Power Virtual Agents to that and help our users to engage there. Plus, they can engage with their natural language, so they can simply write their questions, they can simply ask those in the way that they're usually communicating. They don't need to use any kind of like a sophisticated language to follow. They can just be themselves. We also want to democratize artificial intelligence, saying that the chatbots, the Power Virtual Agents, is built on top of the AI in Azure. We can as well engage the AI builder if you want via the Power Automate, so that the Power Virtual Agent can as well consume those models and benefit from having the AI builder inside. But the point is that we don't actually need to hire a specialist who will build the complex network, artificial network, to build this artificial intelligence for our bot, because this is already there. We have all these services being done in Azure. We just need to use it. The next thing is that thanks to the feedback that the Power Virtual Agent is collecting, we are getting this constant information where our bot is failing, which part of conversation the users are not very much alike, maybe which is a bottleneck, which is frustrative. And we can review those information, we can review this feedback to improve the conversational flow, to improve our bots, to improve their language, and so on and so on. And in the end, we can extend the Power Virtual Agents using Power Automate, for example. What is also important is that today Power Virtual Agent as a tool is available to speak, to understand natively in over 10 languages, even in Polish, to be honest. I mean, this is in a very, very preview, although I can create a bot in my natural language. Now, Power Virtual Agents is not something new. It has been on the, let's say, Microsoft landscape for quite a long time. Maybe not a long time, but the first time it was announced was Microsoft Business Applications Summit in 2018. Right, in 2018. It was nearly 2 years ago. And back then it was announced as a virtual agent for customer services. So it was very tightly focused on dynamics, on customer relationship, on working with the external customers. But then at Ignite in 2019, Satya Nadella announced that we have new tools on Power Platform. I mean, first, the flow, our old legacy flow was renamed to Power Automate, but the second was that there is a new tool being added to the Power Platform. That was Power Virtual Agents, and that was actually that Virtual Agents for Customer Services, but renamed and with a slightly reshaped idea. The idea is now that we can as well still use those bots to create tools that are facing externals, that are facing anonymous web. You can just embed on your website and use as a chatbot on your website. But we can as well use them internally for our employees. Now, what makes so special this whole Microsoft ecosystem? Well, basically the Power Platform as we know it today is built out of 4 tools, 4 main pillars: the data pillar, the app pillar, the processes pillar, and now this interaction, the communication pillar, that is Power Virtual Agents. Now, thanks to that, it is all built on top of the same layers. We can really embed them, we can cross-use them, we can benefit from Azure services, we can benefit from Dynamics data, we can integrate it with over 300 popular services right now, thanks to the connectors that we have in Power Automate. We can query data from on-premise, we can query data from online, from the Common Data Service. And then we can as well build our own custom connectors if we want to. We can extend these tools to the boundaries that were never ever reachable before. So with the Power Virtual Agent, we're actually able to create this kind of communication and then use them internally to help our employees to make their work faster. Now, when I mentioned that the Power Virtual Agents is built on top of, I meant it is built on top of not only the Power Platform, but as well the whole Azure Bot Service and the whole Azure Cognitive Services. So having that, Power Virtual Agent is really able to call Power Automate. Then via the Power Automate, it can consume all those existing connectors. it can consume our custom connectors. It can go even beyond of that, using the on-premises data gateway to consume data from our on-premises databases and applications. Well, plus we can as well use UI flows, right, to grab data from our legacy systems. So that we can use the RPA, actually Microsoft RPA, to grab data from our legacy systems and then to use these for the Pivotal agents to communicate with the user. And thanks to the fact that it's also built on top of the Azure Bot Services, we can use such features like bot skills to enhance or maybe to enrich these capabilities, these built-in or out-of-the-box capabilities of the Pivotal agents with the bot skills. Well, that in fact requires us to program it, but with that we can really again extend the capabilities of Pivotal agents to a very broad scope of functionalities. And lastly, thanks to the fact that it's being built on top of cognitive services, Pivotal agents is not just working straightforward, like once you program it, once you build it to respond to a particular answer, and then user types answer a question, let's once again. So in a situation where you configure your bot to react to a specific question, but the user asks the question just slightly different, then the bot is not failing, because the cognitive services are there to tell the bot that, hey, the confidence between the question that we are learned to understand and the one that the user just posted is very high. That can be the same. And then the bot knows that user is actually asking about that particular thing, so it has to start this particular conversation. So the bot is actually a tool where we can build, again, in this drag and drop, the Power Automate approach, where you just simply need to click the nodes and then create new actions, way to visually design the conversation flow. It can as well integrate Power Automate. It can integrate with Dynamics services to call the human agent to escalate to the phone, and it integrates with, as said, Azure Cognitive Services. Furthermore, as I mentioned at the very beginning, it has this grand area of collecting information, the feedback from the users. So anytime Pivotal agent is finishing the communication, the conversation, it is asking the user, how would you rate this conversation? It is also measuring how long it takes for the specific particular parts or moments or actions in the conversation flow to complete. So having all this information together, we can easily identify places in our conversation that could be a bottleneck. We can easily identify these conversations that users are considering as a bit frustrative or not that much helpful as we thought. And then having this kind of feedback, we can actually try to improve them, try to make them more reliable, more effective, more precise, and better for the end users to simply work with. Fine. So, with that having said, I want to show you how we can actually build a bot using the Q&A maker and LUIS, so the Language Understanding Intelligence Service, for Microsoft Teams to create a complete help desk chatbot that we can just embed there in Teams and then for users to use. Are you ready? Let's roll. So the idea here is quite simple. First, the user is starting the interaction with the bot, is reporting an issue, bot is asking them to authenticate so that it knows their context. And then, because of the question is already asked, the bot using the Language Understanding Intelligence Service, so the LUIS, is determining whether this issue is related to software or maybe hardware. And then, depending on the branch, without and actually focusing on the specific branch, it's trying to query the Q&A database to find if there is an answer for this posted question. And then if user says, yes, it does help me, well, the bot simply ends the process. However, if not, then the bot is posting this question to the help desk. And once the help desk responds with an answer, it is sending this answer to the user's email. And updating the Q&A database with this new answer so that the next time this question is being asked, there is already an answer inside the database. I have a feeling that you like to see it, right? Am I right? Cool. Let me just find my mouse. Here you are. And now jump to the Power Virtual Agents. Very well. Once you navigate to ak.ms/try-pva, you will end up on this page. I mean, not precisely on this page, you will end up on a landing page, but once you start your free trial or once you log into your account where you have a license assigned, you will be at a home screen. So this is, let's say, the main working area of Power Virtual Agents. This is built out of, let's say, three main zones. The first one is the ribbon where you can find the switch between the bots you've created plus the button to create a new bot. And what is maybe more important is the place where you can configure very specific settings of your chosen bot, of the bot that you're now displaying. Now on the left side, we have this main navigation that helps us to navigate between the areas, the zones of our bot. The one that is very much the most important are the topics. So this is the heart, the brain of the Power Virtual Agents. The topic is actually built out of, like, say, three main things. The first one are the trigger phrases. Now the trigger phrases are being defined by you as an author, and they're mainly used to tell the bot that if user types in that trigger phrase or something similar, because there is this this artificial intelligence underneath. So it is also training a model that even if the user types in something slightly different to the trigger phrase, then the bot still knows or is thought that this is that particular topic, because the confidence between that trigger phrase, those trigger phrases we defined, and the sentence that the question that the user typed in is very high, so that has to be this one. So the trigger phrase is telling the bot, use this conversation, use this topic. The second area is the designer canvas or authoring canvas, and the third one are the analytics of this specific topic. Let me just go briefly through each of them. So the first, as said, are the trigger phrases. What you can see here is that we are asked to type in 5 to 10 different phrases. So actually, the more we type in, but they have to be really different one to each other, then the model that is being trained underneath is really going to work fine. So type in your trigger phrases. Once you're done, go to Authoring Canvas. The Authoring Canvas, as I told you before, is slightly similar to what we have in Power Automate, especially because, let's just load it. Because even here we have this topic checker, which seems to be very similar to what we know from the Power Automate that is called the flow checker, right? So it checks if there are any branches, if there is any kind of conversation branch that is ending without a particular message, or maybe is disconnected from the conversation flow, or maybe that is using a variable that is not being defined, and so on and so on. Now, depending on the area where we actually want to create a new action, we need to hover this line, and then there is this small plus button appearing. Now, once I click it, it will actually display a list of actions that I can choose from. The first one is to ask the question, where a bot is simply asking question to a user and then waits for their response. And then based on the type of the question, or maybe based on the type of the response that the bot actually wants to collect, either the whole answer from the user or a specific entity extracted from that answer is being saved as a variable. So I will talk about entities just in a short while. So that about a question. The other option that we can use is actually called just post a message, or show a message, sorry. And this one is simply displaying a message to the user, and well, it's waiting for nothing. It is just displaying a message. Now, the most powerful action is actually the call an action that basically lets us to call the Power Automate. So here now the Power Virtual Agent is loading a list of Power Automate flows that are matching the requirements. Now there are two things that the flow has to have to be displayed here actually. The first one is that it needs to be triggered either via the Power Virtual Agents trigger or the HTTP trigger. and then secondly, it has to be put in a solution. Doesn't matter which one, but it has to be in a solution. And then the flows that you can see here are those completing or meeting these two requirements. However, if I navigate a little bit lower in this conversation flow, like to the very end, what I can as well do, let me just like go to a branch that doesn't have, let me just delete this end of conversation. So in case I want now to add an action at the end of a branch of this conversation, specific branch, I have a bit more of the possibilities. So for example, I can as well do add a condition. So then based on the responses from the user or based from the outcomes of the Power Automates that are being called, I can do a conditional branch. I can as well do this jump to another topic because the bot is actually jumping through the topics very fluently. It's like if at a certain point it is asking the user for an input, and this input is actually a trigger phrase of another topic, then it can try to navigate seamlessly to that another topic because maybe that particular topic will help the user better to answer the question. Or in case you're ending this conversation, but you know that this branch should let a user to a different topic, then you can do it manually. So you can add this go to another topic action and then simply use one of the existing other topics in your bot. Of course, you can call the action that is called end the conversation. And here again, you can call end the conversation with a survey, or maybe if you have this transfer to an agent configured for your Power Virtual Agent, you can then trigger this communication with the agent, with a human agent. And this is how you actually work. Now, you can build this flow very top bottom, but there are also specific situations that you think that, hey, maybe I'd like the user to jump from let's say this answer, this condition here, to maybe condition on, or maybe answer or question on the other branch. And you can as well do this kind of a complex conversation logic that the bot is not actually just going top bottom, but is navigating between different branches and different answers by simply grabbing this small dot here and then moving it to a different spot. So if I put it here, I would actually do this kind of a complex situation that in both situations, that in software branch and in hardware branch, if the bot asks, does it help you? Does it solve your question? And then the user says yes here or no here, he will end up on this kind of a message that I'm sorry to hear, right? Well, that's kind of awkward and it's not very, very expected situation. So let's discard the changes and navigate back. All right. Now let me talk briefly about the entities. Now entities are used to actually extract a piece of information from the very long answer that the user is providing. Example, we were asking about the user's age. And then in case user is not just simply answering 90 or 43 or whatever, but is answering with a whole sentence like I am 43 years old, then using a question that is a type of the age entity, bot is going to be able to extract the actual value from the user's response. So like in those cases, those examples, even if I say I'm 19 years old, then the entity is 19 years and the saved value that is being put in the variable is actually just the value 19. And this is very, very powerful. Next are the analytics. So this is the place where you actually have the overview of how your topics are performing, how your bot is actually performing, if the user are satisfied, how long are the sessions taking, what is your current cost as well, because the bot is being licensed per sessions actually. So this is your center of quality, the center of feedback where you can get the information and make your bots performing even better, to make those conversations better. So this is how it works. And let's go into the areas that we want actually to spread our bot, to publish our bot, to make it available for the external users, for internal users, but on the different channels. The first thing is, once you're done with building your chatbot with this particular bot, you have to publish it. So let me just publish the latest content. And now once you're done with this publication, you can go into configure channels, and here you can actually choose one of the existing channels to embed your bot or to publish your bot. I want to show you how to do it with Microsoft Teams. So that in a moment. The one last thing I want to show you about the bots is the authentication. So the authentication, you can simply use any kind of the OAuth 2.0 authentication provider. However, for our scenario, the most commonly used is going to be Azure Active Directory, of course. And once you hit here this learn more about configuration authentication hyperlink, you will go into the documentation on the Microsoft Docs that really helps you to go through the whole configuration of the authentication. Now, once you do this configuration properly, once all the information is here, you will be able to use as well an action that is called authenticate user, so that a bot will simply display a message asking a user to provide their credentials to authenticate, so that it will be then able to use the bearer token of the user to, for example, sign queries to Graph API. And now, really, the last one thing, the skills. I mentioned about the skills during the presentation part. The skills is something that you simply can't build like you do the Power Virtual Agent. So from clicking, selecting, drag and dropping. Skill is something that you have to develop on the bot framework service in Azure. And then you can simply put it here and it will be called like a single action, however executed on the bot framework service in Azure. So that's something more advanced, but yet very powerful, and gives you a lot of possibilities to extend the basic out-of-the-box capabilities of your Power Virtual Agents. All right, then, let's go to Microsoft Teams and embed. Fine. So I have here my Microsoft Teams opened in the web browser. Okay, here it is. And I would like here to have my very own bot added maybe to those shortcuts so that I can interact with it anytime I want, anytime I have an issue. So what I have to do, first, let me go back to Teams, to channels. Hit the tile, and now we can go here to learn how to set up Microsoft Teams channel, because those documentation are very helpful. And start. The first thing you have to do is actually hit this button at the very bottom right corner. Once you do it, it will generate the app ID that you need to simply copy. And just a second. Right. So keep in mind, this is very neat. Now the next thing that we have to do is to go here under those three dots, the ellipsis icon, into the App Studio. If you don't see an App Studio here in those recent apps, simply type here App Studio and it will show up. So let's go to App Studio. The next step we need to do is go into the Manifest Editor. Under the Manifest Editor tab, we need to hit this button, Create a New App. What we have to do right now is to fill in all the required information. So first, let me call this, okay, again, the help desk agent this time. Full name is not needed, but let's use it. Then we need to hit to generate app ID. Then I will say helpdesk agent, helpdesk.agent, just to make it more precise. Version, yes, 100. Description, now I'll use a better one. Oh gosh. Okay. Let me just copy paste this maybe. Contoso, I'll use my data. Well, I do have this MPN ID, but I don't remember it. Privacy statement, I'll go this way. And now we need to define the icons. So for that, I'll simply go into the icons, and I have somewhere here prepared. So first is the icon 192. That's the one. Second is the icon 32 pixels. So this is here. And lastly, the accent color, I'll use this orange one because, well, it simply colorate to the colors of my agent icon. Now the next thing I have to do is actually, there is nothing I can do about tabs right now, but I need to go under the bots. Here I need to set up the bot, but I'm not configuring a new bot. I need to go to this existing bot, and here you can see there is this bot ID, and I have to get from here, copy it, and then paste right in here. Still today, the bot is only supporting this personal scope, so you can't use the tip or group chat scopes. It's only supporting the personal scope, so be sure you select only this this first checkbox. All right, and save. Now there is nothing under connectors, there is nothing under messaging extensions, yet nothing about languages. The next thing that we have to set up is the valid domains. Now the valid domain is something that is here. I need to find it. Lower, no, where was that? Oh, it's a tokenbotframework.com. So that's the valid domain that I need to put in here and hit add. All right. So now once this is added, actually my whole work is done. So right now I'll do two things. First, I will download this package so that I will show you just in a moment how you can spread this application and make it available for every employee in your company. So I'll download the package, and then I will as well install it in my teams for testing. So I'll add it to my particular team for my particular user. All right, so right now, as you can see, there is already a history of the conversation because the bot that I have just added, the ID of this bot, well, I used to have it in my Teams, so I just uninstalled it and then re-add it again. Therefore, Teams is remembering this conversation, but well, doesn't matter. Now it's the time for testing. So let me check if it really works. So, help desk, I need your help. The next step I have to do is to log in. So right here in this conversation flow that I want to show you, so that's the help desk Luis flow. So the first action actually after the bot is triggered by the trigger phrase, it is asking me to authenticate, right? So I need to now hit this button to authenticate. And because my session in the browser is already active, Therefore, it should just simply grab the context and disappear. And then get my bearer token that later is going to be used to call graph IPAs. All right, so now I'm logged in and I need to be very descriptive. So my question is, formulas in my Excel are not working. What should I do? So right now, the agent is calling the Power Automate, and then the Power Automate, based on the trained LUIS, so the Language Understanding Intelligence Service, this one here, is trying to identify whether the question nature is related to software or maybe the hardware. And therefore, it can then query a different databases based either this is a software or hardware related question. So it somehow like removes from the user this need that they actually need to say, yes, my question is related to this particular information. If the LUIS was trained even more, it would be actually able to grab even more information from this answer or from this question. So it would be able, for example, to grab what is the application name, what is the issue really related to, if this is still software or hardware, and so on and so on. And then we could use all this information just got out of the question posted by user to, for example, create a very complete task in ServiceNow or Planner that is going to be then assigned to the help desk team, right? So that's, I mean, having the LUIS underneath is a very powerful tool because it can be used across different scenarios to grab very different data. Anyway, in this scenario, even though that the bot actually recognized that this is a software issue, it somehow found an answer related to to the hardware about my mouse. So I'm not very satisfied with this answer. So I would say no, it doesn't solve my situation, it doesn't solve my issue. So right now it said that this will forward my question to a human agent who will then answer my question. So, well, did I answer your question? Well, yes, in this case it answered my question because there is nothing else I can do. Rate it, I'll say 3 because, well, it didn't answer my question. So no, thank you. And now, because me is right now in this scenario the human agent who is being assigned a task, in my conversation I can find a new task assigned where I can see that there is this request made by this person, that there is this question, and that is the answer that was found. Well, I know it's wrong, so I'll say change the type of the cell to general. And that's it. Now, what is also important here, this is my Q&A maker, my Q&A database. And as you can see, I do have some of the questions and answers related to Excel. However, there is none actually answering this particular one. So right now, once I hit submit, me as a requester, as a person who asked this question, I will receive an email with the answer provided by that user. So this will just answer my question. Plus, there is another flow that is being run in the background that actually grabs this outcome of that particular question and its answer. And let me just show it to you what it does. All right, it's just already finished. So what is this flow actually doing is once it assigned this task, that you've seen already is it is then waiting for the answer, and then as the answer is provided, come on, just load faster. No, that's the wrong flow, sorry. The right flow is somewhere here. I need to open it. That was the flow. That was the flow I wanted to open. Yeah, sometimes it takes quite an amount of time, right, to load Power Automate flows or web pages in general. But here we go, there is the run. Okay, 3 minutes ago, that's the one. Oh, come on. Okay, so once it assigned a task, so here is this create an approval, then there is an active card being posted to Microsoft Teams. So again, user doesn't have to navigate away from Teams, everything happens inside Teams. And then it's waiting for an approval. Once the approval is done, so once the feedback to this task is done, is provided, then the Power Automate is actually updating my knowledge base, so the Q&A maker. And then that was something that Simon Jones, who is a user who posted questions on my blog under this article, found out. I need to get this operation ID and then simply ping the Q&A maker the endpoint get operation state, as long as this operation state is different to not started or is just saying complete. So now this is this loop waiting until, and then finally once the state is complete, it's running, and then at the 60 is succeed. So then it is publishing the Q&A database. So now once I refresh it here, I should be able to see the new value present. So now we have as well to wait until the Q&A database is loaded. It always takes a bit of time. All right, but we're already loading this knowledge base information, so just in a second there should be the contents displayed. 1, 2, 3. Right, so there is my question that I posted, I asked, and there is the answer from the help desk. So now the next time I would go into the Power Virtual Agent and ask this question, or maybe something similar, then the virtual agent is going to be given this answer from the Q&A maker. Okay, so that was actually the first part of this whole test. So I was able to actually get this Power Virtual Agent working as my, as my bot in my Microsoft Teams. But now if I go to a Teams of my co-employee, where is that actually? So that's the John Researcher, he's my employee. And in his Teams, there is actually no Power Virtual Agent yet. So once I go to the 3 dots, I'm just again refresh this Teams. It always needs to refresh. It always needs to refresh, and it always takes a bit of time to actually load the whole application. In the meantime, I'll as well open in my window the admin Teams Microsoft.com, because I want to show you how you can actually use this bot and, well, make it available to all employees in your organization. So John Researcher here, once he goes into the ellipsis icon and would say, find me the help, let's go into help desk bot. Well, then there is nothing found. There is no app at all. So what I have to do to make this bot available to any user in my organization, I need to go under the Teams apps, then manage apps. And then actually, once it loads, fine. So now what I need to do is to hit this upload button, then find this package here that I have extracted or downloaded in the first place. So it's going to be under downloads right now. Here it is. Now, as you saw, there was this message saying it has been added. So let me just find it. Or just help. Okay, anyway, there it is. And as you can see, it's already allowed and published. So actually, there is nothing else I need to do, right? Everything is done. I can go to its details. I can see what this app is doing. There is this description. There is information that is allowed. Like everything is fine. Okay. So the next thing that I have to do is then go back to my John Researchers application. And right now, once I go into more apps and actually go under the build for consultancy, so build for my tenant, I should be able to see this particular bot that I have just added. Or to make it faster, I'll just write a help desk. And here it is. Here is my help desk agent. So simply I need to add it. And right now, even John Researcher, who also used to have this bot and also used to be chatting with it, can pin it so that it never goes away and can start a conversation. So again, let's trigger it and check if this Excel question is going to work. First continue, first log in. Again, because the session of this user is already active in the browser, therefore I don't need to actually provide my login and password and really authenticate, so it's just very fast. Let's try a slightly different question. Maybe it will work, maybe not. Let's see. So again, the first thing that the bot is going right now to do is to, all right, it was very fast, so I wasn't even able to explain. So first he was trying to, it was using the LUIS, the language understanding intelligence service, to determine whether my question is software or hardware. And then once this information is acknowledged, is identified, it was querying the Q&A database. And well, in this case, it actually found that precise answer I wanted it to find. So yes, it does solve my issue. I'm really happy. It's really cool that this bot is working that precisely. Yes, it answered my question, and yes, I will now give you 5 because it was really awesome and very fast, and it was helping. And it was very helpful. And that's it, right? So let me just jump back to the presentation, and I hope you liked it so far. So I'll just jump to the roadmap and what we can expect from the nearest future. Right now, we are actually seeing the releases coming from the actual 2020 release wave 1 plan that is meant to end somewhere here, August, September. And it is already announced that there is going to be a next release wave 2 plan that is planned actually to show us new updates between October 2020 and January 2021. One of those features that I'm waiting the most is the adaptive card support that was actually planned in the first place for October 2020, but it is already postponed, and right now its preview date is January 2021. With adaptive cards and video support and images support, you'll be actually able to answer to the user with a very rich text, rich content cards that will not only display a very simple text, but will display videos, will display forms, so that users are going to be able really to work with this content and get even more effective support, more effective answers, more effective conversation and communication, and this interaction is going to be enriched as well. Then we're also going to have topic suggestions from documents. So today we can actually use a feature that is called the topic suggestions, but we need to provide a URL to a web page. And then what bot is doing is crawling that web page and trying to gather information that is a question and an answer. And then for each such a pair is building a separate topic. Now with the future release, we'll be as well able to get this kind of Q&As from the simple Word document or an Excel document. We're also going to be given the voice interaction. So the bot is not only then going to be working over the chat and written information, but you will be able to post a question using your voice, using the language. And also we will be given the basic theming, the theming that is now only available in the scenario where you embed a bot on your custom website. And we also are going to be given the list variable, so not just a single text, single number variable, but as well the table, the list variables are going to be supported. Now, what is important is that the Pivotal agent is already generally available. I mean, it is since 2nd December 2019, so it's quite an amount of time already to say that this tool is already stable. You can use it. And thanks to the latest edition that helps us to export and import bots using solutions, this can be as well used to create a bot in one place and then package it and distribute it to your customers. So PVA now is a very enterprise-ready tool that you can use for a lot of scenarios inside a company and as well outside for your end customers, for end users, for your anonymous visitors on the website. And now the question is, how much does it cost? Well, it's not very cheap. You have to pay $1,000 per 2,000 sessions. Now, a session, as you can read, is this interaction between a user and a bot that ends up with the condition, with one of those, when one of these conditions is met. So either the user question is answered, so we are ending this conversation with the question from a bot, hey, did it answer your question? Yes, blank, session done. Or this conversation exceeds 60 minutes, so user is chatting with a bot over 60 minutes, or it has 100 turns. So turn means bot asking question, user answering, bot asking, and that was one turn. So if we exceed 100 turns, then this is also considered as a single session. What you have to also remember is that once you navigate to ak.ms try PVA and you don't have a license yet, you can start a 60 days free trial just to check all those functionalities and features that this tool is offering. Last thing, my details, my links, my social media contacts. So if you'd like this, if you liked this presentation, I hope you were inspired. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you saw that actually working with Pivotal agents and its integration with Microsoft Teams is very, very easy actually to be done. And that you already have a lot of scenarios on your mind how you can use the Pivotal agents within your company or maybe outside of your company. That's really up to you. I'm really glad to feel that you found it that much inspirational. Now, if you'd like to contact me, if you have any questions regarding this presentation, if you have any questions, well, regarding Power Platform at all, like the Power Automate, Power Apps, or Pivotal agents, here you have all the links where you can find me. So tweet me, mail me, find me on LinkedIn, find me on YouTube, find me on my blog, and contact me, follow me, subscribe. Just let's stay in contact. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your, for you being there, having time, spend the last hour of your life with me. I really hope you enjoy that. And I wish you as well a lot of more interesting content during this conference. And I hope to see you somewhere, maybe in person, maybe on another virtual conference. Keep safe. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the conference. Bye. Bye. Thanks once again. Thank you.